Every night we perform a small miracle and barely notice it. The sun disappears, the sky darkens, and with one simple movement, we cancel the night. We press a switch. A room that should have fallen into darkness is suddenly filled with light. We keep working, we keep talking, we keep scrolling, we keep living as if sunset is no longer a boundary. But for almost every human who ever lived, sunset was not a minor change in lighting. It was a transformation of the world. When daylight ended, the landscape disappeared. Paths became invisible. Familiar places turned uncertain. The edge of the forest, the open plain, even the space just beyond the fire became dangerous. Today, darkness is something we usually control. For our ancestors, darkness was the condition of life. For hundreds of thousands of years, people spent nearly half of their existence in a world without electric bulbs, street lamps, glowing windows, or phone screens. For most of that time, they did not even have candles. They had the moon, the stars, and fire may have been one of the greatest turning points in human history, not only because it warmed us or cooked our food, but because it changed what night could become. Before fire, night mostly meant stillness. Like other primates, early humans had good reasons to stop moving after sunset. Human eyes are not built for deep darkness the way many predators' eyes are. At night, animals that hunted us could see, move, and smell far better than we could. To walk into darkness was to surrender an advantage. Fire changed the balance. A campfire created a visible center. Around it, people could gather. They could see faces. They could hear one another. They could keep children close. They could repair tools, share food, tend wounds, and remain alert together. The fire did not destroy the danger of night. It made a small human world inside it. And that small world gave us something extraordinary, time that did not belong only to survival. During daylight, most human activity was practical. People searched for food, followed animals, gathered plants, made decisions, solved conflicts, and handled the immediate demands of life. Daytime speech was often useful speech, but after sunset, around the fire, conversation could change. The work of the day was mostly done. The group was gathered. The darkness outside the firelight made the circle feel separate from the rest of the world. And in that circle, people told stories. They spoke of hunts that went wrong, ancestors who had died, places beyond the horizon, strange animals, spirits, rules, warnings, jokes, dreams, and memories. A story could teach without direct danger. It could let a child learn what fear is before facing it alone. It could preserve knowledge across generations. It could explain why the world was the way it was. It could turn one person's experience into the group's memory. In this sense, the campfire was more than a source of light. It was the first theater, the first classroom, the first place where humans collectively imagined things that were not physically present. That ability to sit together and believe in a shared invisible world may be one of the foundations of culture itself. But stories were only one part of the ancient night. The other part was sleep. Modern people usually think of sleep as one solid block. You go to bed, sleep through the night, and wake in the morning. If you wake at 2 or 3 a.m., you assume something is wrong. But history suggests that this was not always the default human pattern. Old records, diaries, medical texts, prayer books, and literature repeatedly mention first sleep and second sleep. People would fall asleep not long after darkness came. After several hours, they would wake naturally. Then, for a quiet interval in the middle of the night, they might pray, reflect, talk, write, make love, remember dreams, or simply lie still in the dark. After that, they would return to sleep until dawn. This middle period was not necessarily treated as a problem. It was part of the architecture of the night, a pause, a threshold, a strange and quiet space between dreaming and waking. Modern experiments with long periods of darkness have shown that, without artificial light, some people naturally drift toward a similar pattern. Sleep, wakefulness, then sleep again. That does not mean every person in every culture always slept this way. Human sleep has always varied, but it does suggest something important. The single uninterrupted night of sleep we now consider normal may be partly a product of the modern world, and the force that reshaped it was light. Artificial light slowly conquered the night. First, cities began lighting their streets. Then candles became cheaper. Gas lamps extended the evening. Electric bulbs brought brightness indoors. Screens brought light directly to our eyes, even in bed. Step by step, night stopped being a natural boundary. We turned it into more day. This changed civilization. People could work longer, travel more safely, read after sunset, run factories, build nightlife, and expand the economy beyond the limits of daylight. But the same light that gave us freedom also changed our bodies. The human brain still reads light as information. Brightness tells the nervous system that it is time to be awake. Darkness tells it that night has begun. When artificial light reaches the eyes late in the evening, the body can delay the release of melatonin, shift its internal clock, and make sleep more fragile. Your brain did not evolve with a phone screen glowing a few centimeters from your face at midnight. It evolved with sunset. So the modern night has become crowded. Crowded with lamps, crowded with notifications, crowded with entertainment, crowded with the feeling that we should still be productive, available, awake. And maybe that is why true darkness now feels uncomfortable to many people. We are no longer used to being alone with the night. For our ancestors, darkness was not empty. It was full of danger, yes, but also full of meaning. It had rhythms. It had stories. It had silence. It had stars so bright that the Milky Way was not a rare spectacle, but an ordinary part of the sky. When people woke between first and second sleep, they did not immediately flood their eyes with blue light. They did not check messages. They did not measure the failure of their sleep by the numbers on a screen. They stayed inside the dark. They listened to the mind in a state modern life rarely allows. This may be what we lost when we defeated the night. Not only darkness, not only stars, not only an older way of sleeping. We lost a kind of human attention, the attention that appears when there is nothing to scroll, nothing to answer, nothing to illuminate, and nowhere else to go. A mind in darkness does different things. It remembers, it imagines, it connects, it dreams while awake. So the next time you wake in the middle of the night, maybe the first question should not be, "What is wrong with me?" Maybe the question should be, "What is my body trying to remember?" For most of human history, night was not simply the absence of day. It was another world, a world of firelight, stories, divided sleep, quiet thought, fear, stars, and shared imagination. We did not just invent the light bulb, we changed the human night, and in doing so, we may have changed ourselves.